The new mail lady was tagged me the other day. I would
I
like,
stopped somebody there a couple weeks ago, because I was coming down Lock Haven, headed to the other side, and then I threw my blue lights on, turned around, I stopped, and I didn't know you were a police officer, I would have stopped.
no, that's not how it works.
That's not how that works.
Stop sign is actually for stopping.
I appreciate your honesty, but you know. It was like, that happened to me a couple weeks ago.
Go ahead, finish your sentence.
Well, I was just saying, that happened to me a couple weeks ago in front of the library. Somebody parked on the other side of the road with this big Dodge 3500 taking up half the road on the other side, running this and that. And I was in my cruiser, which isn't marked, and I was pulling up, and guy gets out, and he headed into the library, said, "Hey, sir, you can't park there. That's not a parking spot." "Don't worry about it. I'll only be a minute." I'm like, "Come on, I didn't know you're a police officer." Too late now.
Okay, it being 6 o'clock, I'll call this meeting to order of the Enfield Board of Selectmen on February 21st, 2023. First up, we have the approval of the minutes. Do we have both dates?
No, only February 7th.
Approval of the minutes of February 7th, 2023. Any additions, corrections?
I have nothing to add. They're very good in my book.
Okay, yep. Yeah, they've been so good for so long now. We're really getting spoiled.
Yeah.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve of the minutes of February 7th as printed.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next up, we have board reports. I have nothing.
I did not go to planning board because it conflicted with the budget hearing.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot on that agenda, so.
I mean, the Heritage Commission met, discussed a few things, just, around the warrant article that they had put on through the planning board. And then there were just a couple questions, which I'll just talk to Ed about. One, just checking on the value of the current trust fund, for the townhouse. I guess there was, somebody had asked for a number and it didn't quite match what they expected. Suggest it was probably just because they only do withdrawals from trust funds once a year, so you have accounting mismatches between, when expenditures happen and when they come out of the trust fund versus, anyway. But I'll just check with that on that. No one thought there was anything wrong. They were just wondering why some expense hadn't gone through the trust fund. And then they were asking about Old Home Days for 2023, which I'll ask Ed if there's anything about that, but I was just curious about that, and I didn't have an update on it, so.
Okay, thank you. No town managers report, I think.
Actually, he left one for me.
Did he really?
Yes, so I can just, it's a short one.
Great.
On staffing, the police department continues to work through the hiring process to replace 2 officers that were lost. And we have 1 applicant that has passed the physical fitness test and interview process. They're now moving on to the background check portion of the application process. The department also has another applicant that will be starting the process this weekend. I'm assuming it's this coming one and not this past one, but I don't know for sure. We also have Elizabeth Levante, who came on as our accounting and payroll clerk on February 6th. She's an Enfield resident and has experience in accounts payable, payroll, and human resources. She's picking things up really quickly, which is really great. We enjoy having her as part of the team and wanted to take a few minutes to introduce her, but she's not here, so we can't do that. In addition to her, Ben Hurley has started as a light equipment operator, and he's starting on February 13th. With the 2 new hires, the only staff openings we have now are the 2 police positions.
I read in the paper somewhere, there's some police department somewhere that would like to get rid of the physical fitness requirement.
It's actually, and it's not just a police department, it's actually on the, it's a proposed, so it's a state law.
Yeah.
Since 2001, you have to pass a PT test every 6 months. And so one of our state legislators has introduced a bill to repeal that law. And so there are a bunch of chiefs that support it. I'm not one of them,
Right.
but I think that when I started in law enforcement 23 years ago, there was a lot of law enforcement officers you saw that weren't in great shape. And now that's more rare than it is. And I think that's part of why.
Yeah.
So, but that is on their agenda this year, so.
Probably works out well health-wise to be in shape.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's why they had to change the retirement system in 2011 to extend it so you have to work longer because we're in better shape. We're living longer after retirement.
Gotcha.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So on the public safety building and Whitney Hall projects, at the last meeting, Ed informed you that the police chief and fire chief and he were working with the architects and contractors to scale back on the initial design to make sure the building meets the needs of the town, is a solid yet financially responsible facility and fits within the budget, even after the extraordinary inflation we've had, recently. We're happy to report that, or he's happy to report that they met with the MFAC committee, who, after some good discussion, agreed with the changes presented and the floor plan that they came up with. The contractors are now working on the detailed cost estimate to confirm that they're within the allotted budget.
Good.
Chief Holland continues to work with Homeland Security and the USDA in trying to secure grant for the EOC and for interior furnishings for the building. There'll be a couple of more grants that we're going to be presenting later tonight. And he wants to assure the public and the select board that they're looking for funding to build the best building they can within the budget authorized by the voters. On the water project, Jim Taylor met with Horizons engineers to discuss the next steps on the new well project. Options considered were to proceed with permitting of the well drilled in December, hydrofrac the new well, or drill a second well. It was decided to drill a second well, which can be done within the current project budget and the bid contract award. Pump testing and permitting is roughly the same for the two wells as for one, and the second well is only slightly more than hydrofracking. They're hopeful that, let's see. The second well will provide a better overall project and more water for the town within the same budget that was approved. Horizons is also working with the town to look at cost and feasibility of interconnection with Shaker Village and other town-owned sites for future water prospecting. On the chipper front, the new chipper has been ordered and is expected to be delivered in early April. And when it comes to roads with the warm weather that we've been experiencing, all Enfield roads have been posted at a 6-ton limit. That is it.
Roads are gonna be a struggle. Yeah. Yeah, there was an article in the paper about New Hampshire's radon problem in artesian wells. I think I might get mine tested.
It's definitely worth it.
Have you had yours tested?
Twice. Once when I bought it and once for a birth cohort study, where they were doing with children. And so, and they test for, it used to be just radon, but now they're looking for uranium and nuclear isotopes. So we're lucky enough not to have that, but it's very, our section of town is high in manganese, which won't kill you, but makes an awful powdery white mess. Very common out there. It's just the soil type.
Okay. Communications?
We have none.
None. On to the business. $5,895.52. Eastman Charitable Foundation grant acceptance for Recreation Story Walk project.
So Kevin Marger did up a little write-up for the Storybook Walk Trail to explain what that is. Basically, they put little signs around that they keep changing. So you learn a little bit about what's on the trail and things like that. And with it keep changing, it keep people coming back. And we need a vote to accept the funds.
I'll make a motion to accept the $5,895.52 from Eastman Charitable Foundation. Thanks.
A second.
All in favor?
Bye. Very cool project.
Now, how come the write-up says grant funds of $5,870.52 and the checks made out to $5,895.52?
He did a typo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, did I read the wrong number?
No.
No, you read the correct one.
Oh, okay, I was like,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
The
Thank you.
I was looking at the check.
And the
You-
check has the correct number and his write-ups are.
Yeah, I used the number.
And I didn't catch that because I didn't look
That's
at the check.
Okay,
We're going with the number we voted.
Yes.
next up, under business, authorize the application of congressional direct spending grants and review and sign letters of support for two different things. One is security system and equipment for the public safety building. Second is alternative clean energy equipment and outfitting for the public safety building.
Is there something we can have any questions that Roy can speak to?
Oh, our net zero.
So, the second one, well, I guess first or second one, one is for the security system, which, obviously, we've, scaled back some for, obviously, it's enough to keep the building safe and everything else, but, under the congressional spending, there is some grants available to help pay for that out of the system, so then we would be able to reallocate that money someplace else within the building. So obviously, that would be a plus.
Yep.
And then the other one is, as anybody who knows that works in the net zero or with that, that's the net zero is much more expensive than the fossil fuel, regular type systems. And so when the news got broken to us and the MFAC committee that, due to inflation, it just wasn't in the budget to go net zero. We were able to find this grant, through the congressional spending is one of those areas is green energy and stuff like that. And so our goal is to try to get enough money out of congressional spending to get back to, or as close as we can to net zero.
great.
So the letters are, obviously draft. If you see something else that you would like to change, we'll be happy to change them around. Isn't that, but it's, so part of the grant application is, two letters of support and, the select board recommended is one of those letters. We know that the grant that we're going for the security system is, $75,000. The other one, we're still putting together the numbers that were, the cost difference between your traditional fossil fuel system and the three things that we're looking for in the green one is, heat pumps, solar, I refer to them as solar walls, but solar, battery walls.
Oh, yeah.
A solar array and, EV, electric vehicle, chargers, within the building. That's our goal. If we have to narrow it down, we'll obviously, make priorities, but that's what we're looking for. That's what we're going for. And we're trying to, I guess you'd say, kill two birds with one stone here. One, get a letter of support, but also get it on the record so that later on, when we get it, because I'm optimistic we will, it'll already be on the record that the select board has authorized us to apply for it, so that we don't have to go back and get that approval again.
Can we get a meeting with her office in addition to this?
So I've been in contact with,
Great.
with their rep and, we're exchanging emails back and forth to make sure we have the best application possible. And,
Awesome.
I'm working with the energy, for the energy one, the other letter of recommendation we're getting is from the Enfield Energy Committee. And so I'm actually working with several of their reps there to make sure that we're definitely in line with Enfield's energy, committee and working together to make sure that, we're all on the same page on what's best for our public safety building.
Great.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager or their designee to apply for two congressional direct spending grants. One for the purposes of providing security and communication equipment, and the other for energy equipment and systems to meet the select board's goal of making the public safety building as close to net zero as possible while staying within the allotted budget, and hereby authorize the town manager or their designees to take such action and execute all documents that may be necessary.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, that's great.
So I think we're not gonna sign these tonight.
You can actually.
We can.
Unless you,
If you had a chance to read it and you agree with what it says, please sign them tonight. If not, if you want to make some changes, just get back to me. I just have to have, the applications have to be in by no later than March.
Do you have a
I
copy?
have a color,
Ooh.
I have an original.
Okay,
You have the
Color
pretty one?
steel and all.
that's the one we should.
It's, yeah. You should sign
Okay.
it on the back.
Okay.
On the detail, my only question, and I don't know how I guess these letters aren't as important as the actual application. Like it says things like the energy upgrades would include, and as a list, but there's no like option to have other things added
Oh,
after.
may include items such as,
Right,
if you
Right.
change
So
the,
they're just
I-
letters of support,
right, I,
not just, but they're,
yeah, no, so I guess I don't know, I just wanna make sure we're not limiting ourselves with how that plays off of the actual application, because I've involved a lot of government grants, and if you don't get that language right, you sometimes, limit yourself.
sure.
They say, well, that's not what was written in,
Mhm.
even though it's totally within the spirit and the intent.
Yep, yep.
But if these are just letters and they're not what actually limit our application, that's perfectly fine. Then they're fine.
We can rewrite them.
Yeah, I mean, we could take, I would say that it might be, usually it doesn't go this way. It might be better to be more vague about it,
No,
just say we support this application and then take
Yeah.
the specific part out
Yeah.
and say, energy upgrades.
Yeah, no, I think including the list is a good idea, but you don't wanna, right, it will include and then a list, because then even if the list is less than that, you haven't done your whole list.
Right,
Right, if you add to the list, well, that wasn't in your list.
right.
Right, so you want a little bit of flexibility.
Yeah.
At this stage of the game where we don't know exactly what it's gonna be.
So
With-
what's the
yeah.
deadline again?
March 6th.
March sixth.
we could just pop into the
Yeah.
office.
Yeah,
I think we usually use such as,
yeah,
and then such
Yeah.
as can include, but doesn't limit you,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because for accounting purposes too, for gap compliance, you wanna do that.
Right, no, that's my only comment to these letters.
That's a very good point. I didn't think about that.
Any other comments? Thank you. Next up, we have two administrative items, a certificate of posting of the 2023 town meeting warrant. Then there's a solar exemption application.
Just need to sign those.
They need to be. sent.
Alright.
So is that wording in both of the letters or just, one of
Uh,
them? Or just the energy?
So the energy one, I think is definitely
Yeah.
the security one is pretty set on what we're gonna
Yeah,
apply for. So I think that one would
That
be
one's okay to
comfortable to sign that one
Okay.
tonight, and then we'll
Okay.
change the energy one to better reflect.
Hey, we got public comments.
So remind me why some people have to apply for the solar energy systems exemption. I thought that was pretty automatic.
Yeah, no, you have to apply, but it's just because we have to have the record. We still have to apply. but
Every year?
I don't know if it's annual.
Yeah.
there,
I think that some things are changing a little bit, so I don't.
Yeah, I should look into that.
so I think that, and I could be wrong, because we have solar on our house, and we had to apply when we first put it on.
Mhm.
And then at one point, I don't know if it was, someone said, oh, well, they have to apply every year, so they tried to take it off.
Mhm.
And then the town itself made a decision
Yes,
that you didn't have to apply every year.
right.
I mean,
So I have not applied since that, but
Either have I.
I don't remember the cycle of when that was.
Huh.
But I do remember we had to
I
apply.
had this nervous feeling they might have changed it again. I don't know.
it seems like a lot of non-value add busy work for a system you're probably not gonna tear off because they're kind of expensive.
My assumption that this was a new installation, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be.
Alright.
Is this
One
the
quick
period?
question. One quick question on the, with the
We have
warrant
public
article.
comment as well. I think she's gonna be asking.
The town meeting warrant, I assume Lindsay, knows that, actually, it's not even at that day, it doesn't matter. Article 7's on the ballot voter.
It is on the.
Yep,
ballot.
so don't worry about it. As I said, we just need to have copies of, Lindsay would want to know ahead of time if she
Mhm.
needed to, but that's a Tuesday issue, so no problem.
Do we have a public comment for someone on the screen?
Hi, yes.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Jean Hinshaw, and my husband Parker and I are the owners of the Windswept Farm, which is at 499 Methodist Hill Road. And would like to ask and request if the Board of Selectmen would be willing to entertain an offer from us to purchase the property that's adjacent to ours that was recently acquired via the tax default process. We are, really appreciate the opportunity to ask this question. I know there's been discussion in the town about what to do with that property, and we're just kind of trying to find out the rules and things like that. But we understand that the Board of Selectmen have are able to they are authorized to sell the land acquired by tax deed. But I just want to kind of stress that we know a lot of people are really interested in this, and our interest is in the community. We are very community-minded people, and our goal would be to combine it with our piece of land and not develop it into house lots or anything like that. And we also understand that this would be beneficial to the town from a revenue standpoint, and we would like to help preserve its natural beauty, and we know a lot of townspeople are interested in not having that area developed into 6 house lots or 8 house lots or something like that. And we would be willing to commit to not doing that. So I would like to ask if we would be able to submit an offer to the Selectmen Committee.
Well, I can say that the selectmen have made no decision on that matter yet, and we are still seeking public input. And as far as selling it, I know there's a lot of interest in turning it into a public sort of park property. There's also probably some interest in splitting the difference between public park and some private ownership. So I guess my thought would be for an interested party to write something more specific to the town manager, indicating exactly what your intentions would be and exactly what kind of offer you would be making to the town. And we would add that to the file right now, but I couldn't promise we're going to make a decision in the near future.
Okay. So I appreciate your willingness to let us submit something more specific to the town manager. Yes.
That'd be a good idea. Thank you.
And I think we had originally tasked the town manager's office with doing some work on developing different and varying ideas. What happened was when the Conservation Commission made a decision to move forward without working with the town office, they came up with their own idea and forced it out onto the warrant via an article. And so right now we could try to sneak, I'm just gonna say it this way, it's not something we intend to do, but you could potentially go like the sneaky route, notice the prior owner and try to sell it ahead of time. That would probably create some really bad blood, right? Just because one entity and one party in the town doesn't do something in a way that's most conducive to doing business doesn't mean we wanna follow that route. So this is gonna go to a town meeting. I think what's really important is that you come to town meeting also and express your thoughts and feelings, because I think it's important for people to hear that not every one of the abutters feels the same way. You may have a different idea than your neighbors. You may all like conservation, but you may have a different route to getting there, so that the people in the town can decide which route matches and how, whether they want to send it back to the town manager's office, right, to be looked at, or if they want to go forward with what was proposed on the warrants.
And the warrant has been posted and published, so you can check that out at any time.
Yep, it's Article 16.
Article 16.
Yeah, it's not up online yet, but it's going, right?
Can I speak to that as a member of the Conservation Commission?
Certainly.
When we looked at getting enough signatures to put it onto the ballot, there was enormous support from the Methodist Hill community. In fact, we got more signatures than necessary from that community alone. And I will just leave it at that.
We both forgot that one. Thank you.
Technically, it is actually on the warrant, but not on the ballot.
On the
So, just to,
I-
for clarification purposes.
Wrong word, terms on my part.
It's been changed by a lot.
I'm sorry, I don't know which word I'm supposed to use, but
Yeah.
it's. Had it not been on.
I think it's important.
Conservation Commission, we could try.
Everyone's gonna get a chance to weigh in at town meeting, because it's
Right.
like one that is gonna be discussed on the floor, so people can learn from each other.
Which I think is ideal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much.
I'm a big believer in town meeting. Okay, any other comments? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Oh, we can't.
No.
You gotta go. I make a motion to go into non-public session
Oh,
pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, open parentheses, small a, close parentheses, for the purposes of town manager evaluation.
oh,
Second.
how did I miss that?
Alphabet soup to get there.
So we're all yeses, right, going in? Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's at 6:25, and then Elisa's gonna kick us off.
Oh, that wasn't on the agenda.
Yeah.